老师们，大家好. Hello, fellow teachers. Welcome to today's mini CPD session. And this CPD session is under the theme of classroom routines. And this specific episode is about the routine in exercise books. It is obvious that students should understand the importance of having their best presentation in the books as possible. And this habit or routine should be developed very much earlier on in the course. Today I'm presenting you a sample agreement that all of my students will have at the front of their books. Please pause the video and have a look. Now when you finish looking at this video, let me just quickly go through it. It won't take too long. Today's session is about 2 more minutes long. I give a motto that I can use all the time. So this is my motto. Whenever students have an argument with me in the future, I will say this motto, saying that number one rule, the principal motto is our work is a presentation of who we are. Now, here you can have your own interpretations. For example, I don't want your presentation to be the best. I want your presentation to the best version of yourself. I don't need your presentation to be like printed standards. I want your presentation to be as neat as possible. Or for some of the students, they are having a slower work pace. You can say, okay, right, the presentation should match up with their ability, with how much work you're producing, etc. So you need to have some interpretation that you can use to give the standards or the rules for the students so they can follow the rules rather than letting them defining the rules or let them guess what your expectations are. Now, again, you must provide rationales for the students and really take time to explain these rationales, why we're doing this, without an agreement or a intrinsically agreement with your rules expectations. Students are not going to be proactively reacting on your rules or expectations, especially in the books, and they think they can hide a lot of times. Now, my book have 4 sections. The first section is in this box. Second section is my standards in presentation. Third box is this some features, and fourth box is the agreement. All right, just have a look. First one, second one, third one, and fourth one. I'm not going to spend too much time on the first one, and these are the how to be successful within our department in a specific school. Now, your school might have different success criteria. You can copy and paste in that box as a reminder for the students. Okay, these are the things we can do to be successful. So this is not purely on the book presentation. I repeat, this first box is not about a book presentation. It's how to be successful as a Mandarin learner or how to be successful as an MFL learner in a specific school's context, as your school will have your own power standards or success criteria. It's a overarching, empowering tools at the top. Now, more specifically, you can look at the second part, means to learn standards for presentation in Mandarin. You have maths presentation is different matter, English presentation a different matter. In French, we might want students to focus on the accent, etc. But in Mandarin, standards are very specific. And I would very much like the teachers to actually input what are the standards you have that is beneficial for students' Mandarin learning, especially when they are writing hanzi in the books. So 5 rules. Number 1, one hanzi in one box. 2, hanzi does not go outside the box. 3, hanzi are of similar size. 4, use full stops in a circle, use other punctuation as normal. For example, the exclamation mark and question marks are dotted at the bottom. And 5, steady strokes of hanzi with straight lines. Now, the number 5, people's going to debate on this, but from my experience, students do know how to curve. How much the curve? 20, 30 degrees curve? How long is the curve? It's going to create a whole mental craziness in their head and thinking about this, and it's going to slow people down. So at the beginning, for the learners, I told them all curved lines can be done in straight line, and with the exposure and later on in the future, when they are seeing more and more hands written by Chinese people or the printed in textbook, they will adapt to themselves. So for the moment, I just ease a brain overload with straight strokes expectation. Now you might have your own rules, and this is just mine. Now, for this part, if any teachers have more suggestions, I mean, not too specific, just the general suggestions to hold students' account, please let me know. When you have these 5 standards in the book, we can save so much time explaining expectations in their book every time we mark their book. And this is actually developing them with a good habit day one in the handwriting. Now, that's Mandarin specific. Exercise books should have some commonalities or shared standards between the students. I got 6 rules. If you think this is too much, or depending on students' prior ability, etc., you can make it less or make it more. I said all work have a date, title, underlined with ruler, and students come in my classroom do this automatically without me telling them, and that's called the deeply embedded routine that we want. Handwriting is legible. I don't need them to be the perfect ones. I need them to be readable, legible, readable. 3. This one is important. I suggest teachers to have this as one line third mistakes rather than curly fur balls circling, give me a big filled up black square, etc. Save them time to say one line across. The color of using pens, etc., you decide whether you want to go for this sophistication or you want to go simple. And number 5, no doodling, no loose sheets, no folds in sheets. And some teachers said this is too much to ask, but I think number 5 is quite powerful. It's not about the students not doodling and not having losing sheets and not holding the sheets, folding the sheets in the book. It's about setting up that high expectation that students don't even think about doing something naughty in their book. Yeah. And if you have regular checkpoints, or I don't want to say this, but if your school is ready for inspection, and you might want to separate the classwork or the assessment work or the refinement works in different colors. And the easy way to do this is ask the students to draw a box outside its part. For example, classwork, I do not have a box out there, but for any assessment work, I ask them to draw a red box outside, or for any refinement work, some schools ask us to do it in blue pens, or I ask them to do all the refinement work in a yellow box with a with a highlighter. Must use rulers. And finally, students are going for their agreement, saying my work is a representation of my efforts, best ability, and my engagement in teaching, in learning in each learning episode. My teacher will only mark my book if presentation meets expectation. My presentation meets expectation. Otherwise, I will be required to rewrite my work after school before receiving feedbacks. So we are shifting the responsibility to the students that they need to have a presentable work, then the teachers will mark the book. And actually, you find it that might be a lot of time you think, oh, this is too much to ask for my students. But once you use it, students are really proud of books. I cannot say that there's no student who will struggle with this. Obviously, there are whatever rules we have, whatever subjects or new initiative we have, students always will thrive, students will always struggle, and it's down to the teacher to really help and support the struggling students and to develop into better habits, because all we're trying to sell and to do with this agreement is letting students have a presentable work and develop them with good habits, and eventually it's going to help them with their Mandarin handwriting. Eventually it's going to help them with their learning efficiency in the books. All right, holding students to account is not only a work that you're holding account in the classroom routines, when you have entry, when you have whiteboard exercise, it's also about the routine that can be reflected in their book. As always, if you need a copy of this work, please let me know with DM. Otherwise, have a good day and enjoy your weekend. Bye bye for now.